G'day everyone. I suppose let's start with this. On Saturday night, I did a nearly 55-minute video, most of which was pointed at the fire simply because that was all I could see. I could see more, but it was just too dark out there and I didn't have any lights on and you couldn't see the sky, so I thought, well, I'll just face the camera at the fire. And it was a video that I'd done just after I'd finished a live, where there was a pile of motorbikers who'd been running around, annoying the crap out of me. So yeah, about 5 seconds after I finished the live, they buggered off. They went back to camp, and I did hear them a little bit on Sunday, but I was pretty much gone by about 11 o'clock and on my way home. So after I'd finished another live, doing a lot of lives lately and not a lot of videos, so that's why I'm here. So first thing I did was went for a bit of a drive, went over to where they'd been going backwards and forwards, and they stayed within their boundary line, which was good. They didn't actually enter the property per se. That's part of the property is being set aside deliberately so that they can do what they want. They pay to be out there. I don't. So, and that's their bit of fun. I have my bit of fun. And as long as the twain shall not meet, then that is fine. Sometimes, as much as certain things annoy you, you've just got to let it go. And it's a bit of a lesson, really. You could get involved, but at the end of the day, they're paying to be out there, and providing they don't actually cross the lines of coming into areas they're not allowed to, then what they do is their business. And as much as it kind of annoys me, and it probably annoys the sheep a bit, but they're gone by Sunday afternoon. They're really only paying to be out there Friday night, Saturday night, and gone by Sunday afternoon, and the rest of the week the property remains quiet and peaceful and all the rest of it. So yeah, and then next weekend hopefully somebody quieter comes out. It is one of probably the downsides for where I'm thinking of everything, but that's something I sort of tend to keep relatively close to my chest. But there are ways you can deal with it later, but for the time being, that's their bit of fun and enjoyment, and I'm not there to stop it. So went out and did a bit of a fence run, and actually came against up against a kangaroo that was clearly had woken up a little bit earlier. It didn't have the rest of its mates out there, but he was a big one. He was probably close to 6.5 feet tall plus. He would have towered over me, and no, Gem, I wasn't going to have a fight with him. I was quite happy sitting in the car, and I knew where he was going, and he was desperately trying to find the hole that he'd climbed under, because weirdly enough, I very rarely see kangaroos jump a fence out there. Most of them actually go under it. And I think I was stressing him out. So in the end, I left him alone and went off looking for a bit of firewood that I could cut up and take back to camp. So, which I did. Found an old stump that I chainsawed up. And when I got back to camp, I used my little hand axe to split it. and luckily it split quite nicely. So it was pretty dead wood, and it was very dry considering all the rain we've had. It was riddled with termites, but again, that didn't really bother me because it went on the fire just as well, and it burnt quite nicely. So thank you, termites. I'm pretty sure they weren't thanking me, but it is what it is. And yeah, after the difficulties that I'd had trying to start the damn fire in the first place, I did manage to get it going, and I knew as soon as I got a few coals in it, it was going to be fine. It just took forever to get going because the wood out there is just so wet after last week. I think I went through half a box of firelighters, even a bit of that lighter fluid you get for Zippos. You just spray it over it just to try and get it sort of going somehow. But there was just nothing dry out there. All the leaves, all the sticks, everything was just wet. So all it did was produce a lot of white smoke and would just smoulder. It wouldn't actually take. But eventually it did, and got me through until when I went to bed. And that was probably around about 11 o'clock Saturday night, after I'd done my 55-minute video, in which I probably said too much, and so I deleted it. I was going to upload it when I got home, but I was, even right from the very start recording it, I was sitting there going, I don't know about this. But I kept on yakking and I think I brought up a lot of good points, but the problem is it's what happens in between it, and these days you got to be so damn careful about what you raise and who it could offend and everything else that goes along with it. So in the end I thought, no, I can't upload this. So I hit delete, and that was the end of it. I did do a quick live this afternoon. Look, it was all right. Sorry, Jam. I did say hello, I think. It's nice seeing the regulars coming, because I think as much as none of us will ever meet each other, like seriously, we're all so damn far apart from each other, and we talk a lot, and they're just some absolutely awesome people, seriously. But the simple fact is that, we are a long way away from each other, and as much as it'd be just great to just catch up at a pub or something like that and have a couple of drinks over a lunch, and then just, leave it at that. They are truly, there's a lot of truly incredible people here, and I have some absolutely fabulous lives, and some that are sort of okay, but I think that's just where we are, and sometimes it's good when the regulars are there. It's a matter of finding a time, and look, it's Sunday for probably 80% of my audience, and it's Monday for the rest of them. So I get it, I understand it. It's kind of a pain in the ass being in Australia sometimes. We're just, time zones are just massively different. And Chance and I had this argument about us being half an hour outside of the rest of the world. So when it's 6:30 here, it's 12 o'clock somewhere. There's always this half an hour that we're out. And of course, he jumped onto AI and had to discover why, which is great, because we're pretty sure what it really came down to was the fact that when Australia was settled, a couple of guys went into a pub, found that it was happy hour, and thought, here's an idea. And that seems to be where most of the ideas in Australia actually come from. After about 10 beers and during happy hour, all the best and brightest ideas come out, I guess, and it's kind of stuck. So here we are in South Australia, Northern Territory, half an hour outside of every time zone on the planet. So, you know, it's one of these weird anomalies that us Australians have just got, and it's not something most of us would ever think about. But when it comes out and someone picks it up and goes, I need to have a look into this, and we're all going, yeah, okay, I didn't know that, so yeah, I want to know more. And then we figured it out. Those sort of lives are just great. And I don't care who's running it. You know, when things like that come up, it's like, that's cool. But yeah, so I've already posted a little 1-minute video tonight, and only because I can almost guarantee the rest of the world will have no idea this is going on until it just blows up. But yes, apparently a brown skua and a giant petrel were found deceased near Esperance. Both those birds actually migrate from Antarctica, because I had to look it up. And apparently there's been around about 50 birds confirmed sick. So it looks like H5N1 bird, avian bird flu, is in Western Australia. Now, that was one of the stories, and obviously I just shoved the camera in front of the TV, videoed it, posted it. So if you haven't seen it yet, go and have a look. So what are the implications out of this? South Australia, as you saw, the guy in the suit is our Premier, Peter Malinauskas, has said, you know, they are keeping an eye on it, and for good reason, obviously. Then they did a finance part of the news. I mean, I got to admit, I laughed, and thought, and then for the next story, it was like, yep, heard that one before too. And then it was like, and 5 seconds after I'd finished the finance, I switched the news off, because I thought, that's enough. I don't need to really hear any more about this crap. So one of the finance stories was Ingham's Chickens. Now, most overseas have never heard of them. Just about every Aussie who's ever been to a supermarket has, and has bought Ingham's Chickens products at some point. Whether it's been a whole chicken, chicken wings, chicken drumsticks, breasts, you name it. Whether it's just been plain or, you know, sauteed or you know, whatever. Ingham's does it. So they've got massive commercial poultry farms. And I should have looked up whether, I'm pretty sure they've got them in South Australia and Victoria. However, Ingham's, this was from Yahoo Finance, because I did actually look some of this stuff up, and unfortunately a lot of it is behind paywalls. So places like The Age, the Sydney Morning Herald, etc., you actually have to pay a subscription fee to read a paper. I mean, we've got the same in South Australia. The Advertiser is the same. You can't see anything unless you actually pay to use it. That's why most of us don't actually watch mainstream, and why most of us are on alternative media, I suppose. The biggest problem I find with alternative media is I know more about what's happening in China on a day-to-day basis than I know 3 doors down from where I live. So, and I can tell you which one's going to affect you first. So it is nice to actually sort of look into look at the news every now and again, if nothing more than to know what's happening in the nearest city to you, and where that mood is. And of course, there was a case of a BYD electric vehicle being stolen by a group of 14 to 16-year-olds who decided to go on a joyride. Unfortunately, little realising that the car could actually be tracked every kilometre by the owners, who did so and kept the police informed. And of course, all the kids were actually arrested, and then pretty much released on bail straight away. Now, this isn't an unfamiliar story, I'm sure, around the world. And it happens a lot, even in here in South Australia. Chance posted a car crash of a 19-year-old and a 15-year-old in Portland, and the 19-year-old was drink driving. And of course they crashed, and I mean, I don't know. I think the 19-year-old was arrested. I'm not sure if have a look at his post. You'll get the story there. So it is a similar story in South Australia, similar story in just about every capital city around the world. 19 isn't too bad. At least he's got his licence. The 15-year-old, maybe they were dating. I don't know. And at the end of the day, it is only a 4-year age gap, but still 15 is too young. I don't know. There's a story in behind all of it, and I'm not going to even try and guesstimate what that is. But yeah, I mean, this situation was an electric car in Adelaide, a BYD Chinese vehicle, and nobody in the car was older than 16. There was 4 of them. And then a motorbike rider ran into the back of a B-double, which was parked. A B-double meaning a truck with 2 trailers. And clearly the driver had driven from Victoria to South Australia, got to South Australia before the depot was opened, thought, bugger this for a joke, I'll just jump into the back of the cab, get a few hours of sleep, and while he was in bed in the back of the truck, because the truck has a sleeper cabin on the back, he was just parked on the side of the road outside the depot gates, literally metres away from where the depot gates were. A motorbike ran straight up the back of him, and unfortunately, the motorbike rider didn't make it. The truck was parked, turned off, switched off. The guy was in bed, asleep. And then, and it was just basically a series of stories like that all night, really. Just people just not paying attention, really. And a case of a couple of cars going down a road rage, obviously. One of the cars, a 4-wheel drive, looked like a Toyota Hilux Surf, to be honest. I could be wrong. And a Hyundai i20 or i30 behind it, which is like a little hatchback. And the Hilux was just all over the road. I mean, this is on a normal, during the day, plenty of traffic around, and he's just all over the road. And one of the guys in the little i20 was virtually hanging out. I can only imagine he was on his, videoing something on his phone. And they're cruising down the road doing 60, 70 k's an hour, virtually trying not to hit each other. So apparently the police are investigating. So it is what it is. And I mean, at the end of the day, as much as we talk about, things like grid down or, financial collapse and all the rest of it, it's neither here nor there compared to just living daily life these days. You really do have to have 10 eyes in the back of your head even while you're driving or even just walking down the street. Another one was a guy went into a cafe somewhere in the city, bought a coffee, walked out, and just randomly slammed a 65-year-old straight to the concrete and bitumen. And luckily there was an off-duty cop there, and he's going to end up in court. He was clearly just having a bad day, and really you don't know when you're going to come across that. That's the problem. And that could be your grid down. You could just be wandering along the street, minding your own business, making sure you're avoiding people, and all of a sudden something like that happens. And your world changes upside down in about 2 seconds flat. And all the preparing you've done, you can't prepare for something like that. You just can't. So please, please, please be careful. No matter what you're doing, going to the shops, going to a doctor's appointment, dropping the kids off at school, I don't care what it is that you're doing. Just be careful and just be aware of your surroundings. Be really vigilant about teaching the kids to be aware as much as you can, because this sort of thing happens in a heartbeat. Could be your daughter or your son coming home from a date, and some drunk driver being an absolute fool, thinking nothing's going to happen, and your life changes just like that. And it's bloody sad. So, but this avian flu, I'll get back to the news. Sorry, I do get a bit waylaid every now and again. And this is what's good about chat, because it keeps me on track. So, this from Yahoo Finance. Ingham's moves to high vigilance after H5N1 bird flu confirmed in Western Australia. It clarified there had been no detection of the virus in commercial poultry, but farms have been locked down. Shares fell by 5% by close of day, but are down by 23% to date. Now, this is only in WA, and I want to clarify that because, if they do have factories in South Australia and other states, it's probably not really going to slow them down too much. WA will certainly feel it, but it shouldn't really affect South Australia too much, but it depends on the supply chain. And any hit to a supply chain in a country like Australia can be bigger than what it first appears. So just watch the chicken prices for the next couple of months, depending on where this goes. If it's all over Red Rover in a couple of days, then fine. It probably won't make a difference. But if we're still heading towards this, and it does jump the SA border, and it does start to affect some of the SA commercial poultry farms, then yes, it most certainly will affect things. So just keep that in mind, and just keep it in mind. So that was one story in the financial parts. The financial report was proudly brought to you, and this is what made me laugh, by Vanguard Tax Hub. Name sounds familiar? I don't know. Maybe it might. I don't know. But they have a lovely website. You can go and actually have a look at it. It's called Vanguard Tax Hub. And it based on their little slogan, it's to manage tax season with confidence and ease. So clearly what they do is tax returns. So rather than you run off to your accountant or wherever, you can run off to Vanguard. Ain't that a pleasure? That's why I laughed. So as if they didn't actually need to own any more of your money, they're going to charge you for this and make some more. Oh, fun. For those that know, they know. So that was Channel 7's Finance Report, proudly brought to you by Vanguard Tax Hub. And if you want to go and spend some money on another subscription, because hey, you've already got 35 in the bank, half of which you probably don't use, and that's something that's been coming up a lot lately. If you want to figure out how to save money, have a look at your subscriptions and consider how many you actually need. I used to say, back in my day, we used to go to the video shop on a Friday and Saturday night and hire a couple of videos. We'd grab a pizza, grab a couple of beers or something like that, and sit down as a couple or however you did it, in front of the TV on a Saturday night or on a Friday night and watch a couple of videos. Normally it was just one on Friday and one on Saturday. That was enough. And then just return them on Sunday. That's what you did. And normally they were probably around about $5 to rent each video. So, you'd spend $10 and good night out. Well, good night in, because I didn't really go out a lot. I did many moons ago, but by that stage, no, I was quite happy to sit there on a Friday night and watch a good movie. Back when good movies actually still existed, because there aren't too many of them around anymore. And $10 a week, and I figured that wasn't too bad for a bit of entertainment. And that's the way I look at subscriptions. If it's going to cost more than $10, I ain't paying for it. Sorry. So I pay $5 or no, well, I can't even remember. It's about $6 or $7 for YouTube Premium. It doesn't cost that much, and it gets rid of all the ads. And considering how much time I spend on YouTube Premium, it's absolutely worth it. So if you don't like ads, or you're one of these people who are continually arguing that, you've got too many bloody ads, that's not the content creator's fault. That's YouTube itself. So if you don't want the ads, pay the money and just get YouTube Premium. But make sure it's worthwhile for you. So I'm on YouTube pretty much from 7 o'clock in the morning, and here I am recording a video for YouTube at whatever time it is at the night. So for me, it is absolutely worthwhile. I did have Netflix. I got rid of it. Why? Because I wasn't watching it. There's no point in having something if you're not watching it. And I get the fact that kids want to watch certain things. But it's been discovered that some people in Australia are paying $1,600 a month for subscriptions. $1,600. Just think about that. What could that do? It'd certainly pay for the bloody everything that's gone up. It's a huge amount of money. I'm sorry, but that's a stupid amount of money. And I don't know what they're subscribing for. Maybe they are subscribing for the Sydney Morning Herald and the Age newspapers. Netflix, YouTube, Disney, Amazon. I don't know what else, but $1,600 a month. I'm sorry. If you can't cut that to half that amount, you need to take a serious look at yourself. So that's a lot of money. But anyway, back to Channel 7's Finance Report. And this one is a little bit spicy. And I had to look it up just to make sure that what they said was actually right. And so I jumped onto DuckDuckGo and typed it in. And of course got more paywalls than I could poke a stick at. And it took me probably about 10 minutes to figure it all out. But in the end, Sky News came to the rescue with a headline stating, major Australian company, WiseTech, suffers 2.3 billion with a B, blow as founder Richard White faces human trafficking probe by the Australian Federal Police. Now, I'm not going to really comment too much about it because at the end of the day, you're innocent until proven guilty, and that's a fact. So I'm not involved. I don't know. I'm just reading a headline. That's it. That was provided by Sky News, and it was something I looked up after watching tonight's, the 22nd of June, Monday, 2026. Had to think about it for a second. I was watching Channel 7's news tonight, and that's what they said. And then I looked it up on DuckDuckGo, and of course The Age, The Advertiser, the Sydney Morning Herald. They're probably the bigger. Sydney Morning Herald and The Age are basically big newspapers in Melbourne and Sydney. Had similar titles, but you couldn't read the story. So Sky News actually had the story. I won't repeat it. You can rewind if you want to listen. So, yes, that's what's happening in Australia. I am aware, and I'm sort of not going to really go into this too much, but Keir Starmer has resigned. He is the 6th Prime Minister in the United Kingdom in 7 years. Now, the first thing I thought of, and the reason I'm not going to talk about it is because one of my favourite people who talks about things like this in far more detail than I ever will is Neil McCoy Ward. And I did notice that there was a video that he was going to talk all about it. So I will probably share that on my posts, on my community posts. So if you're interested, by all means go and have a look. I'll only share it if it has been posted. I don't know when it's going to be posted. It just had a notify me or a notification bell thing that it was coming up. And I would imagine he's going to give far more information about it than what I will ever be able to do. So I don't really need to talk about it too much more. The only thing I will raise is, when was the last election in the UK? Because it seems like every 12 months they go through a Prime Minister, but you very rarely hear about them actually having national elections anymore. Is it just me, or am I missing something? I don't know. I mean, we have them every 4 years, but if that was the case, there should have been like an election, 3 years ago? And I do sort of seem to recall Rishi Sunak getting in, but with all the changes in British leaders lately, I can't keep a track of when you guys actually had an official election, because it seems that they're just changing leaders and the public just gets no say about it at all. Which would annoy the hell out of me, because you've got to sort of get to the point where if this party can't get their shit together, maybe it's time to put the vote to the public as opposed to just someone resigning, and it's like, 300 members of a party basically are the only ones who have any vote anymore over there. I don't know. I don't live in the UK, and maybe Jem can confirm that, because she is British, and she's absolutely friggin' fantastic. And I'm insanely jealous because she's got a bloody Audi, and that pisses me off because I can't see the damn thing. So yeah, maybe Jem. So maybe you can tell us. Although I'm pretty sure you're going to be pretty damn happy that Starmer's gone. But I mean, honestly, it's like, and it's like I keep saying, we complain about our leaders, but who the hell are you going to replace them with? Just another knob, or, because none of them really seem to care about us anymore. And I did notice it's now Sir Keir Starmer. So, clearly, apparently, once you get elected as a Prime Minister over there, you become a Sir. I'm pretty sure they just give that shit out these days. Doesn't really mean anything. Probably means you get a bigger pension. That wouldn't surprise me. At the end of the day, he's freaking set for life. He's made millions out of his job, even though he's probably only paid about £200,000 a year. He hasn't been there for more than 2 years, so work that one out. He doesn't have to work another day in his life, but, he probably will, and end up in some job that's government funded and giving him several $1 million a year, and, his pension will do him okay. So, wouldn't that be fantastic? You get a new job, they say, here's 50 grand. By the end of it, you're worth $1 million. Figure that one out. And then, they shake your hand and say, you can piss off now. Here's a pension that's going to pay you, I don't know, £900,000 a year for the rest of your life. Here's a secretary. Here's an office. You got private security for the next 5 years. Where do you find jobs like that? Seriously. Yes, you're running a country, but at the rate they're going through them, I don't know. Seems pretty damn easy. You've only got to do it for 12 months, don't you? I don't know. And then, it's like, okay, not many people like you, but within 12 months, they've all forgotten about you and you're still fucking on a killing. So, who cares? I'm pretty sure he doesn't. And he brought in this whole under 16 thing. Where have we heard that from before? Yeah, we went through that in Australia 12 months ago. So catch up, mate. And then apparently they're going to do it in Canada. Oh, and Denmark. And about 50 odd other countries as well. So, it's just, but it's all their own idea. If you're not catching up by now, please do so. Oh, things are expensive? I wonder why they're expensive here, and they're expensive in the UK, and they're expensive in Europe as well. Survival Lily talks about it all the time. It's not just where you live, it's everywhere. And I don't know, maybe it's all planned. Really, you should too as well. We're just trying to live. We're just trying to survive. It's not hard, apparently. It's getting harder, though, as we all are fully aware. And I actually thought, I really want to go and see this Disclosure Day movie. But that probably means I'm going to have to go to Adelaide and stay there overnight. And so, a $20 movie ticket all of a sudden becomes more expensive. But I wouldn't, is it worth it? If it was, I don't know. And I'd like to say I'd like to wait until it came out on video, but there's actually a couple of things that came out a couple of years ago. Like I bought the DVD Civil War. That wasn't a bad movie. But there was another one about the same time, and that's not come out. That I don't think will ever come out on DVD. So I've missed that one because I wasn't subscribed to the channel that was actually showing it. Which then kind of makes you wonder, yeah, okay, we're going to spend an absolute crap load to promote this particular movie. Everyone's going to go out and subscribe to my channel. And then After that, we're just going to put shit on, and all you guys will bugger off. Forget about the fact that you paid subscriptions to see this one movie. And in 12 months, we would have made enough to pay for the movie. And I'm pretty sure that's how it works. I don't know. Tell me I'm wrong. You know, everyone wanted to see The Mandalorian. So what did they do? They put it on Disney Plus. Everyone sat down, watched the 3 seasons of Disney Plus and watched The Mandalorian. After which, Disney Plus decided to make, Black Wonder Woman and, transgender Supergirl. And I don't know, I'm making this shit up now, but, you get where I'm going. And everyone said, well, I'm not going to bloody watch Disney Plus anymore. But they didn't cancel their subscription. They're still paying for it. And they've paid for all of this to happen. So if you don't like it, stop paying them. Or change your credit card number. Or cancel your credit card number and get a new one. And stop paying for crap you're not using. And put that money into, getting ready for whatever's coming. Or getting ready for that day that none of us want to ever think about or talk about. When you're just happily walking down the street and you've bought your favourite, whatever it was you went to go shopping, and then some dickhead who's having just a really, really bad day makes yours even worse. So, stop paying for shit you're not using. There's a few channels at the moment that are getting into financial prepping, which I think is great. But I think the biggest thing most of us can do is actually sit down and look at our own individual things and ask the questions, where can I save even $3? Because that $3 could be used for something else. And if you suddenly look at things that you're looking at, just keep a diary for a couple of weeks about what you're using around your house. And because most of mine is insurance, and only because I've been there, done that. I had transverse myelitis, I need income protection and things like that because I've got bills to pay like everyone else does. So, and if I'm sick in a hospital for 3 months again, I need that covered. And that's why I pay for insurances. I may never need it again, but it's like I've done videos before. If you don't have it, you will need it. If you do have it, you will never need it. And so I have it so that I'll never need it. Because I don't want to go through what I went through 17 or 18 years ago again. That was not fun. But I got through it, and here I stand. Well, here I sit at my kitchen table. So, it is all good after all. But anyway, enough of that doom and gloom. It's fantastic, isn't it? Woohoo! But at least you got to hear my Australian accent for 44 minutes, love. Guys, yeah. Chuck a sanger on the barbie, would you, hun? Yeah. Where's my beers? Yeah. You don't need to hear that shit. I'm going. Have a great day or a great night, whichever one finds you happily in this world around us. And I will catch you all later. Bye.